Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 75, and we're still alive. I'm here with Dusty HANSHAW, and we're going to go through some Instagram questions and have some fun on It's Just Bodybuilding. So Dusty, what's your stress level today?
It's always 0.
Oh, okay. Always.
Yeah, I don't believe in stress. I don't stress about things. You can either control shit or you can't, and that's really it. I mean, right now I think the dogs are gonna have their say in the show today because they're already starting a little war down below me. So, yeah.
Okay, well, we don't mind a little drop in once in a while. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell, and tell your friends, all that stuff.
And
there we go.
Know. Even people you don't know, tell them too.
People you don't know, just yell at people.
Yeah, randomly. It's just bodybuilding, 75.
Scott probably has a little graphic come up there to make it look pretty and that sort of stuff. So we're good. We're good. We got all that shit out of the way.
Yes. Now we can get to the fun stuff.
So I heard you have a ring light to make you look prettier, but it's just been sitting in a box next to your desk for how long?
Couple weeks.
I'm
waiting on the right moment to strike.
Right.
Because the thing is, like I told you earlier, like I'm really handsome in the dark.
Well, I was wondering if maybe the concern was just you didn't want to change anything.
Well, we made it to 75.
Yeah. I don't see complaints. I don't see anyone asking for more light on your face.
Can we get some more of Dusty's face? That does not happen. No one's ever like,
people seem to be unified in the idea that you don't need more light on your face.
That's how I feel. I mean, unless they were trying to take a shot, like, yeah, but let's look at that face.
Okay.
So yeah, but we're gonna one of these days. Can you hear them?
That was an interesting noise.
That's Donna. She's fierce. Anyways, yes. So, but we have a ton of questions today, and a lot going on in the world, Mister. So,
Yeah, I don't know anything going on in the world. I'm watching TV. He's yelling at his dogs right now. He hits the mute button. He's very good with the mute button. I suspect that he uses it on his phone a lot too when he's talking to multiple people.
Oh, I definitely do.
There you go.
But I don't use it when I'm doing my Q&As. I just let them become a star of the show.
Right.
I was like, fuck it. This is my real life. I don't want people to think I got my shit together in any way.
Here's a question for you. Let's talk about the Q&As.
Yes.
I really like the Q&As. How do you do the Q&As? Do you just hit reply on that question and then you just slide the question up a bit so you can fit your big head in, and then you just shoot and you just try to be under 15 seconds on each one? Yes. Or do you film a video and then lay it out? And no. Okay.
Yeah, I do it as the fastest way humanly possible. Yeah. And actually, if you just hit the reply deal, the box is already there. So I just position it so I'm looking at it the whole time.
Yeah,
minus the dogs.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Okay,
yeah,
that's how I do mine too.
It's the fastest way possible, especially because half the time I'm driving or doing other things. So people definitely know that I don't have time to look anything up because I am in the midst of 77 things while I do that every time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now, are you actually driving when you shoot some of those? Or are you just sitting in a parked car?
No, I'm actually moving. Yeah, but I don't look at it. Okay. See, I just hold it like this because I don't have a good side. It doesn't matter. I'm somewhere in there. You can hear me.
There's no visual concern whatsoever.
I'm not at all like, oh man, I hope they get the glistening of my hair. What hair? Jesus.
You're just hoping your shirt is pulled down enough that
I try to avoid the wrinkles like this, and that's about. So I get situated with my seatbelt. I like to move it under my arm.
Do you do a rice check? Make sure you got no rice.
You do need to be a little cautious of that.
And then you got a white logo there, so sometimes you got to give the logo an extra hard look for rice.
You're like, God damn it blends in. Yeah, between that or, black is dangerous. With the beard, and apparently I have a company now sending me some oils and shit that's supposed to help because I was having a little, look like a dandruff on my shirts.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean. You got to manage that. I know it's tricky sometimes. And it can change on you. It could change on you. You can be using a certain amount of beard oil and some lotion on your face, and everything's golden. And then just for some reason one day You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's not a good look to look like you have dandruff and you have no hair. Yeah. So yeah, I got that. But a company reached out and they're like, try our stuff. And I was like, okay. So
sometimes if I get that, I just shave my beard off.
Oh, see, I can't, because the number of chins that I imagine are accumulating down here now, it's got to be getting pretty high. And I'm just starting to want it now. Oh God, because how often you do this in the gym? Right? You're set, you drop your. It's just not good. I mean, not that it was pretty to begin with, but
yeah. Plus, now you can put your mask down around your throat during your set and cover them up even more.
Exactly. Because now that we don't have to wear the mask during, which makes zero sense, but whatever. Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's just crazy.
I'm just glad I can breathe, but I did find, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, but I don't give a shit. So if you go on Amazon, they have these masks that are like under Halloween stuff. They got like sparkles and shit on them. But here's the thing. They're actually mesh.
Right.
So you can breathe. So anybody who doesn't give a fuck about masks but likes to follow the rules, Amazon, jump over there. Breathe rights is what I'm calling them. Yeah, you got some sparkles in your face. You look like every other girl on Instagram with their fucking filter. It's fine.
You walk around.
I will deadlift 800 pounds with the sequins on my face and feel no pain.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. I'm starting to kind of like the mask on the odd girl. It kind of gives them like
the playing field.
Kind of gives them like a Mortal Kombat look.
But I don't want to know what's under there first, because.
Yeah, but then there's that little mystery. Like, oh, geez.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's like you think it could look like Janet Jackson, but maybe it looks like Freddie Jackson once the mask comes off. You never know. Got to watch that shit. Eyes can be tricky. I mean, even I have decent eyes. I mean, think about that.
I lost the connection. I lost the connection for a second there, Dusty.
I saw you kind of paused out.
Yeah, I was laughing at your Jackson joke, though.
Thank you. It's very key. So what's going on in the Vancouver world?
Lots of rain, pouring fucking rain. Pretty much for like, I don't even know when the last time I saw like sky. It's like, it's been a while. I often, when I first moved out here, I was like, the name of the season is from January to like April. Mm-hmm. The season is called Blade Runner. It's like the weather in that movie is just raining, apocalyptic rain, just non-fucking stop. That whole movie, and it just reminds me of that.
You're like, so this is where they filmed Blade Runner.
So I live in the future. I live in a bleak, desolate, dystopian future. Yes, and that was even before the masks and the quarantining. So imagine the effect it has out here with all the rain too.
I'm sorry, I can't even, definitely not making light, but I cannot imagine me with my already weird issues with weather, then quarantine. Be not.
Yeah, because you're stuck at home with gorgeous weather all the time. So you can just like walk out the backyard and like,
there's no. Actually, yesterday I had a real predicament. Took the dogs to the park. And it was a little hot because the sun was really blaring on me in January. And I'm like, shit, it's hot. I wasn't prepared. I mean, that's the kind of intimidating stuff that goes on here. Sun in your eye. You can never forget your sunglasses.
Right.
It's not good.
Do you want to know something funny? I don't even own sunglasses.
You're like, I'm dead serious. I don't have any.
I don't have a pair of sunglasses. I haven't had a pair of sunglasses for like, I don't know. I got my car detailed. Like it was like 2 years ago, and the guy accidentally broke my sunglasses.
Right.
And I didn't even care. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I live here now, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's just funny, I don't know. That's just it's so strange. But I should probably buy a pair because it's probably good for you to wear them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny, but actually the light that hurts my eyes the most is what you guys have, that when it's kind of gray, not raining, but it's bright but gray outside. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. I know what you mean.
That shit actually hurts my eyes. So I wear sunglasses, and it's completely unwarranted for brightness apparently, but I don't need them here until we have that weird ass day, Which, by the way, not so subtle segue. Your questions, people asking you yesterday about what you missed about being a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. And I think you need to expand on that just a hair here for me.
Oh,
because
goodness.
I was digging the what you enjoyed most, and kind of what you miss and that kind of stuff. Because I think a lot of people, you get to that point, it's like, well, what do you do when you're, quote, done? Because you've been chasing a goal for 3 decades.
Right.
So give everybody who didn't watch that a little idea on that. I thought it was good.
Fuck. Well, I hope I remember what I said.
You don't have to. You could tell me what you feel today.
I'm not sure how perfect I'll get it. I don't quite remember everything, but
I remember it all, so I'll jump in.
Well, the question was, what do you miss the most about competing, your competing days or whatever? I can't remember. And I said, I think what I missed the most was, like just the freak being part of being a freak, you know, like, I mean, how many people get to go to the gym and just fucking unleash like the crazy shit that, you know, we had to do, like, you know, putting 7-8 plates on the hack all the fucking time and loading up the leg press and using 160-pound dumbbells on the incline. I know lots of guys have better numbers than this, but in my life, that was like, those are big numbers, you know, deadlifting 500, deadlifting 500 to 600 pounds all the time for reps, squatting 5 plates aside a fucking million times for sets, you know, like just training heavy and hard and going fucking all out and being 325 pounds and not just like it's like a rush, you know? I mean, we all get pulled into it. I think a lot of us get pulled into it, you know, like comic books, pro wrestling, all the influences, Terminator movies, you know, like all the influences that I had growing up was all kind of like, you're kind of trying to be a bit of a superhero in a way.
Right.
And you're just trying to be like, you are trying to be, I mean, essentially, I don't know how lost it is now, but back then you're kind of trying to like be more than human.
Right.
Like there was like a real extreme mindset. Like you're like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be normal. Like it was, you want to be so fucking not normal that it's just obvious to every single person you encounter that there's nothing normal about you, you know, like that's kind of was part of the drive back then. And then dieting for the contest, like, I mean, yeah, like there's all this stuff that's tough, but that's like I don't look back on any of that stuff and really remember the tough shit vividly.
Right.
I just remember that it was tough.
Right.
Like I remember how tough it was. I remember the conversations I had. I remember the, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I only really focus on the good stuff, like the satisfaction of accomplishing goals and like seeing new striations on your quads when you're dieting and seeing the glutes coming in and walking on the treadmill and pinching the skin on your glutes and going, fuck, it's coming. And just that, like that sort of like insane drive. Like I remember walking on the treadmill in the morning, you know, at the gym, pinching my glutes and then wondering, I'm like, and actually the mindset was, okay, tonight when I go for my nighttime walk, they're going to be thinner.
Right.
Now I'm going to get fucking leaner today.
Yeah.
You know, or you'd pinch the glutes at night when you're doing your nighttime walk and you're like, okay, tomorrow morning in the gym, they're going to be thinner. Like just that sort of like obsessive focus. Like how many people pinch the skin on their glutes, but I probably pinched the skin on my glutes like 1,000,000 times and was just driven by little things like that. And yeah, I don't know, that's the you know, the when you have that insane of focus and that insane level of structure, life is so fun when it's simple like that.
Right.
Just fucking giving her and going all out. And yeah, it's fun. So yeah, I mean, you know, I miss that, but you just find other things to focus on and other ways to, you know, sort of, you know, satisfy those, you know, requirements in you You know, inside my broken, damaged humanity, there is a desire to be something more than normal, which is kind of always been there. I mean, it's why I did tricks on BMX bikes when I was a kid and and skied moguls, and and so there's always something that I wanted to do different. So I have to have something that I'm doing different. And for a long time, competing was like fucking pretty big one to take on,
That's why I asked, because so when I was listening to him last night, it kind of hit me that I wished I had heard some of those things when I was just getting into it. Because I think one thing that a lot of athletes don't do well is take that minute when they're in the midst of it all and be like, holy shit, like this is my life. Like, right. But in irregardless of if you're making money or doing whatever, like, you're literally doing exactly what you want to do by choice.
Yeah.
And I feel like that gets missed sometimes. I mean, I know for me, because it's always, I'm like you, I'm chasing the thing. And I wish in hindsight I would have sat back every now and then and said, wow, because you know how it is when you were doing all of those numbers in the gym, I don't think about it. Like, I've never sitting in the gym going, there's no one in Arizona that trains like I do, but I still don't think about it.
I know what you mean.
It's just what you do. And now in hindsight, I'm like, when I look back at some of those really brutal preps, I'm like, man, I wish I would have soaked that up just a little more, because like you said, when it's done, the pain is like what made it so much better. Like looking back and being like, I kept going and no one made me.
And the funny thing is I look back sometimes and I like I know it's fucked up but it's just, time fades, right? And it fades your memories a bit. I'm like, I wonder if I could have gone harder.
That's a beautiful thing right there.
So there's something, I don't know if like everyone does that, but that's something. And then another thing too, that I do remember this. I remember after I did the story, the one you're talking about, I remember realizing that I hadn't even mentioned the actual competitions.
which is actually something I noticed too, because that was I think the base of the question is when you competed, and I feel the same way. Like the shows were literally mile markers for me. That's it.
The shows were like I don't know. Like I don't think of them when I think of like my favorite memories of competing. I don't think of any of the shows really. I mean, obviously, if I'm making a list, there's going to be a couple of the wins on there.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you win stuff, it's like awesome. But like they're not like what I'm like, oh man, that trip to Toronto that year was so awesome. No, it wasn't. It was stressful and hard and exhausting. And I got third that year. And my tan could have been a bit better. And I was a little flat in the morning. So let's move on.
That's like if someone were to ask me a direct question, what's the most memorable part of a prep or a show, I should say, it always goes back to, Ron came up to my room in Toronto and we were on the phone, or in Vancouver on the phone with Aceto, or Chris I used to just get Chris a room right next to mine, those adjoining rooms. Yeah. And the best part of the weekend was literally fucking off in the hotel room the show is like, that's fine. We knocked it out. But like the amount of memories and conversations and shit that would go on in the rooms, that's what I remember.
I remember, I will say this about you. That day I came to your room for the Vancouver show. So you looked great at that show. Like you had strided glutes and you were 268 pounds, weren't you? Like, I mean, people see you and they know you're a big dude and stuff, but like I saw you in your room that day, peeled, dry, like you're big. And you were so like, it was like you didn't even care there was a show that day. It was like it was just something we had to go down and do for an hour and then we could come back up to the room.
Right.
Like you were just, I remember thinking he's extraordinarily uninvolved with what's going on. Like you weren't like talking about it or thinking about it. You were like, I think you were even telling me about tell me about your bag or something, like, oh yeah, this is a fucking new bag I got, blah, blah, blah. And I just remember thinking like, oh, he's like so calm. It's not even on his mind. Like
Right.
so calm, you know? And also we only looked at you once, like you posed and then you put your clothes back on and then you didn't strip down again until like 5 minutes before you put your oil on.
Right.
So like, you know, most guys are like checking their abs all the time, checking their legs all the time, but you were just so calm because, you know, you're at that point, you're like, I'm still the same as I was 3 hours ago. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I can just tell. You like pinch your skin through your pants and just stay sitting, you know?
Yeah.
And I just
I've
remember
never
how
understood
calm
that
you were.
mindset, you know, like, cause I do see guys, and I think that some people miss out some of the best part of preparation when it's over. Like, cause it's done. I mean, at that point, like, it's literally done. If you've got a good coach or you're prepping yourself properly, you're not swinging for a fence that you can miss.
Yeah, like you had nothing to do that day. You ate like 2 Pop-Tarts over the course of an hour, and that was all you ate for like 3 hours before the stage.
Yeah, I mean, you just finish. And I mean, I remember because that was how it was for my first national level show too.
Yeah.
I remember like waiting for it to get like stressed because I've seen guys do it, you know, and I just realized like when you've put in the work. It's funny. I actually had this conversation with a client yesterday. You don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your prep. Like, I have a lot of people that at 7 weeks out, like, you think we're going to make it? I'm like, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, all I want you to worry about is executing today. That's it. And if you do that all the way to the show, and I've had shows that didn't turn out, as you know, but what I did wouldn't have changed.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, so it's like, I don't understand the stress of that, the stress component. Kind of like I said earlier, I don't stress, I just don't believe in it.
Yeah, but it is funny, you know, most of the shows I look back on, I did 24 shows. And most of the shows I look back on and I'm like, because, I mean, I didn't win all of those shows, right?
Right.
Only won like 1, 2, 3, I think I won 4 times in my life. Right. You know, so, you know, the wins were awesome, but all the other shows, I'm like, could have been fuller. I looked really good at that one, but I got a placing I wasn't happy with.
Right.
You know, like, so they're just, and I don't think anything else of that show, and it doesn't cross my mind for any other real value.
Right.
You know, it's always the training and the drive and the obsession. And like, I remember going for my nighttime walks because I did a lot of nighttime cardio before my last meal.
Right.
So it was very common for me to do a 30 to 40 minute walk outside, like a brisk walk, and then come inside and eat a plate of egg whites and go to bed. That was like how I did my preps.
Right.
And like, I'm talking probably most of them had that. That's the nighttime finish.
Right.
It's just my routine. So anyways, I remember that nighttime walk, like I would, like, it didn't matter if it was minus 20, I would put on my winter jacket and my toque.
Right.
And it didn't matter if it was pouring rain. I just had this big muscular development rain jacket.
Right.
That I would put on. It was like way too big and it was like long, and I would just walk in that. It didn't matter. Like I would just do it no matter what. And I remember like it wasn't even about bodybuilding. I was like, oh, I'm doing something really fucked up.
Right.
that most people wouldn't do.
Yeah,
and
there's
most
a reason
people
not
aren't
to.
prepared
It's raining. Yeah.
And I remember there was several times there was kind of this thing that I used to say to myself, this doing cardio like this, like in the pouring fucking rain, or when you don't want to do it, you know, insert your own life circumstance.
Yeah.
Do it 4 a.m. because you got kids or whatever. You know, doing that cardio when it sucks is an investment. It has nothing to do with bodybuilding. Forget the show. Forget getting lean. You're investing in your discipline for the future. So when life takes you in another path and you're on another venture, you've already done cardio in the rain.
Right.
Maybe the other guy that owns a business hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You've already done I walked around the frozen lake in Grand Prairie in minus 20 Celsius. Like you die if you don't have a jacket.
Right.
And I did like an hour walk around the lake for cardio every
Many
fucking
times.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until eventually the snow melted and it got warmer. Like I started my prep in January and finished it in May. So it was like
That's actually a crazy thought. Like by the end, you're walking that same thing in
a pair of shorts,
t-shirt or something. Yeah.
no, it's summer. May was beautiful. I remember it. I was walking in like shorts and a tank top before the show, shredded.
It's better to be shredded then than in January and no one can see it.
Yeah. So yeah, you just like I just remember enjoying knowing that I was doing that, not knowing what it meant and not knowing if it was any more than just a motivational mantra, but I look back on it and I'm like, oh, that was one of the things that I really liked. Like I like that feeling. So I'd be doing my walk and I'd be thinking like, the difference is here. Like this is the difference. It's pouring fucking rain, right? So yeah, that's the stuff. Like when you think, what do you miss at competing? It's like that's sort of like it's a rush to be like incredibly obsessed with something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
It's like a good feeling. It's like, something that's like, I don't know. Some people might not like that feeling. Maybe they don't like being obsessed with stuff that like freaks them out or something. So
I used that word one time with a client, actually with his wife. And I was like, well, now we can get obsessive, and then she got mad at me. Like I could tell in her response that obsessed was a bad word.
Right.
And of course, like any good person, I should have not said anything else, but instead I was like, what do you mean? Here we go. We're doing this. We're doing this.
Yeah. That's
because
funny.
I look at it different. Like I don't know anyone who's excellent at anything that's not obsessive, whether it's being the best fucking soccer mom the world has ever seen or Elon Musk. They're obsessive. The greatest mothers I know are obsessive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Business owners, bodybuilders, they're all a little bit not quite there. And that's why, like you said, as soon as you got done with bodybuilding, where am I going to put this? Because you can't be normal now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're like, okay, I gotta do something.
You don't check right back out and be like, cool, 9 to 5, and no one will know we're on Partlow and it'll be fine. Like that doesn't work that way.
Yeah. See, so like I remember the feeling. It was before we opened the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was working full time at Mutant.
Yep.
And I was like, still I was rehabbing my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to think like, fuck, I wonder if I'm even going to compete again. Because I was 40 by that point. I was 41. Right. And I was like, I might not even compete again. But I wasn't sure. And I was still training really hard. But I just remember like once we decided to open the gym, I just remember like life just made sense again. Like, because I was like sort of just wandering and sort of just repeating my routine because I didn't know how to change it.
Right.
So I was like, what the fuck? Do I keep eating to get bigger, or is my leg going to be okay? Like, I don't know what's going on. And, it was just one of those periods of time. But then as soon as I like something like happened, it was like,
yeah, you had a new thing, new projection, a new thing to force work at.
And I was like, oh, that's what oh shit. Okay. And then, what the funny thing is that most people don't realize is, also, too, like sometimes you don't realize, I think some bodybuilders don't realize how big of a thing competing was.
Right.
So when they're done competing, they think, oh, I have to put something else in my life to fill the hole. And they put something this big.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I'm just going to get a new little hobby. And they do it for like a couple hours a week. And then they're still losing their minds. Yep. It's like, no, you got to fill like a giant hole with something. Like you have to get on something that you possibly can't manage. Like you've trained yourself to have these things that encompass your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't realize it. But until you do something else that does that level of like stimulation, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
no, I love that. It's funny because I had some people, obviously, because I made the announcement that the Mute and I were going separate directions.
Mm-hmm.
And an immediate response with people was, are you starting your own company? And I laughed because I don't tinker. So like if I was going to start my own company, I would quit bodybuilding. And I would focus on the biggest and the best in the industry and beating them.
Right.
you're not going to do what I'm doing and start a company because you can't. I mean, you can, but you're not going to be obsessive. You can either be a mediocre bodybuilder and a mediocre business owner, or really, really good at one of the two. But you don't want to be a guy who's bodybuilding full time, running a training business, and then trying to build a company on the side, competing with people who are working 16 hours a day just to be the best supplement company there is.
Yeah.
I actually told Michael, the owner of Condemned Labs, I ended up signing with, that story, and he laughed because he knows I've owned business and stuff, and it's like, you don't tinker and do something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Not and make your mark, that's for sure.
So, I was waiting for you to bring this up, but congratulations on, signing with another company. Yeah, it sounds like it's a really good deal for you, and it's a testament, Dusty. The fact that you had a contract with Mutant for so long. And the fact that you had, and before that you were with iForce for what, 5 years?
7 years with iForce.
7. Yeah. So your reputation is obviously following you around,
right?
And allowing you continued opportunity. So all the people who go, how do I get a sponsor? Why am I not sponsored? And he's sponsored. How come I this and that? You know what I mean? Look at the level of dedication and consistency you put into your social media, obviously the consistency in the training. Like when people look at your brand, they see reliable, consistent, hardworking, no bullshit. You know what I mean? Like you've branded yourself well by being consistent and following your own, your brand's obviously not fake because that's actually what you're like. Whereas some people are presenting a fake brand, but eventually over time, the people that actually work with them know that that's not the real them.
Yeah.
And word gets out and you're less valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I could think of dozens of people who have had these amazing, dozens, I'm just talking about ones I know personally. There'd be millions of them. But people who you look at them on Instagram, you're like, man, this guy's an animal.
Yeah.
Fucking doing these crazy shit, and he's so strong, and holy fuck. And his brand is all like, dedication and fucking never let anyone down and all that stuff. And then you talk to the people that he used to work with, and you're like, why didn't you re-sign that guy? And they're like, oh, he was never on time, and he was fucking lazy, and he was fucking
everything the opposite of his brand.
Yeah, he badmouthed the boss, and he did this, and he got drunk at a company party, and fucking like, and you're like, oh, because when I look at him on Instagram, he's a fucking machine.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's something that catches up to people over time. So, be aware of that, all you people out there that want to get sponsored someday.
Yeah, what's been cool too, because that's part of what I was looking forward to with this is I'm coming on obviously for myself, but then also I get a few extra golden tickets that I've always wanted. I get to have a say in some of the future products. There's certain things, as you know, even with Mutant, that I really wanted to see go through that didn't. And now these things will be pushed through. And then the other thing is working with the athletes. He actually has a great team of very good bodybuilders, good athletes at Condemned, but most of them don't know how to do social media or how to market themselves or how to present themselves. So it'll be easy to take their careers to another level. And I've been allowed to just do this. Like I don't have to be filtered or say, hey, can I say this? He's like, here's the emails. Do what you do.
Right.
Which is really fun. So, I mean, I think we're going to have some household names out of guys that should already be that way, that aren't yet, that are just need basic little tweaks. I mean, guys that are going to really be well known. So it's exciting to kind of be able to, I'm like the old fucker coming at the end being like, okay, youngster, let me help you here because you're a much better bodybuilder than I was. So we add what I do to what you do, and who knows, should be fun.
That's cool. No, I'm looking forward to seeing. Plus, I'm looking forward to just getting back on the road eventually.
Oh, shit. That's what I was telling George and all them. I'm like, well, at least now I know we're going to run into each other once we're out there again.
Yeah. So, you got some questions?
I've got a million questions. I'm seriously so thankful for the amount of, like, I did 3 of these last week, and it's awesome that people keep coming back and want to add more, you know? It's definitely good. Okay, boom. I'm starting off with a good one right out the gate, and it's the very first question.
Okay.
What's one thing that motivates you to train hard on the days when you don't feel it 100%?
That's a good question because I'm not really sure the answer. I don't know. It's like, I mean, I have workouts where I am real tired and there's a lot on my mind and I haven't had enough time to like focus before the workout. Mm-hmm. But I always I was training pretty damn hard, I think. And I think that I require that level of intensity in order to be like hormonally and what's the stuff in your brain? Just, all the receptors in your brain.
Okay.
Neurotransmitters, all that stuff.
Right.
I think that it's like an addict who needs a giant hit. It's like I can't get what I need unless I kind of punish myself.
Right.
And then I get that.
Right.
Then I get the neurotransmitters I'm looking for, and I get the endorphin rush I'm looking for. Right. And now I feel good, and now I can be a human for another 24 to 48 hours without losing my mind. And so that's like the stress release and the endorphins and all the stuff that go with, my obsessive requirement to do something every day that's physically difficult. I think that's probably just what it is. If I don't go hard, I just don't get what I need. It's probably a chemical feedback loop at this point. That
I actually believe that 100%.
Like I've done it so many fucking times that it's just become like an addiction on the brain level. Mm-hmm.
I totally get that. I think that's the thing too, is if people can, don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of a workout just because you're not feeling it right away.
Yeah.
I've had times where, and I'm very good at leaving everything that doesn't belong in the gym out. Like, I don't know what it is, like a veil. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. When I walk into a gym, I literally don't think about anything negative when I'm training. It just doesn't happen. But I do have days where you get there and you're like, all right, Dust, come on. You got to get this going today. You know what I mean? Versus the days that you kick the fucking front door in. But what I have found is, and I'm not being hardcore, I'm being literal. Once the pain hits from something, you wake up. On leg days, I always start with adductors because it's a little mindless, but I mean, they're brutal. When you're doing a rest pause set of adductors with a negative, when I get done, there's been many times where I've been a little sluggish, and I get done with those, I'm like, all right, we're ready to go now. Yeah.
Get that wake up exercise. I know what you mean.
Yep.
I know what you mean. And there's something about the pump too.
Oh yeah.
Like the other day we trained back and I had a long day at the gym and there was a whole bunch of stuff to deal with and I like lost track of time and I literally looked at the clock and I'm like, oh fuck, Braden's gonna be here in like a minute.
Right. I don't have time to really get mentally ready for this one.
I guess I gotta go train. And like we walked out and I just remember like I had already thought of a couple exercises earlier that I wanted to do, but I had no mental, I wasn't like revved up. But as soon as we got going on the pull downs and the lats started filling up with blood, I was like, okay, here we go. And then, after that, it was like, it's just funny, it pull you out of any funk.
I agree.
That's sort of the feedback that you get. There's lots of times where my whole day is kind of stressful. Mm-hmm. Like I might not be that, I'm a little bit, kind of like with 10 things that day. And then we'll train at 5. And from 5 to 11, I am like euphorically fucking happy and nice to everyone.
Your staff wish you would train in the morning.
Yeah. They want me there. I say, yeah, exactly. Get that clean up, go train. Hey, everybody, take a break.
High five.
No, it's not like that. But it's just how I feel. Some days I feel like that.
Right. I know what you mean.
So yeah, that's a good question though.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Need it. It's not even a want at this point. It's like a need it.
I definitely feel that.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for watching another podcast here at Think Big Bodybuilding Media. And thank you to our great sponsor, TrueNutrition.com, for making this all possible. TrueNutrition.com is owned by Dante Trudell, the creator of DC Training. He wanted to create a supplement company that offered high-quality, third-party tested supplements at a fair price. High-quality protein powders, just about every type you could think of. Huge variety of flavors, plus health and performance supplements. Check them out, TrueNutrition.com. And hey, if you use our code ADVICES, you directly support our podcasting. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the program.
What do you got?
Okay. Tips and advice for someone breaking into the personal trainer industry. So much to say here.
Yeah, I was going to say, my list is long, but here's the biggest one. Become an expert. I am a firm believer that too many personal trainers, online trainers, do just enough to check the box of kind of technically maybe being qualified. You need to be obsessive about your knowledge and really become excellent, because that's a question I get all the time. How do you get more clients? I'm like, be an expert. Right. They find you. Because there are so many people that do what we do, but because we don't have outside of getting some certifications, everyone knows like there's a difference in an NASM and an ACE certification. You know, right. Do you want to knock out your certification in 5 minutes, or do you want to read this 400-page book and be ready to rock? Because they're very, very different, you know. Right. So that's big. And then once you're in there, I have a few like just pet peeve things that I think will set you apart and make you money. Is your client's goals are your goals. You have to be obsessive about their goals. When I see trainers sitting down or on their phone or telling the client about their physique and their bodybuilding, I want to throw up in my mouth. Because right. I'm like, if I got done with that, I'd be like, oh, so I paid you an $80 an hour, right? Yeah. Okay. And we talked about you for 20 minutes. So that's 33%. I'm going to knock that off of the $80. Here's what I owe you.
Yeah.
Like, no, it should be all about them, and you're in their set, you know? And I know a lot of people understand the fact that as a personal trainer, half of your clients don't want to kill themselves. They're just kind of getting a workout in. But I'm telling you, even at that level, if you are in their workout with them, your retention will be awesome. I had a waiting list for every day of my training life in person, except for the first 2 weeks.
Right.
And the problem was I never lost clients. So it was almost impossible for the waiting list to even work.
Right.
You know, but it was because of those things. It was obsession with being the best I could be for them. You know,
I'm enjoying I take some of my clients that live like around the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I take some of them through workouts. Not
right.
a lot. I don't have a lot of time to book them. I book, you know, very, very few sessions, but I like it. And you know what? They get so much out of, some of them get so much out of just one session.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay, take all the stuff we did for chest today, and I want you to do that all on leg day.
Yep.
So like the same tempo counts, the same, like, remember that rest pause set we did? Okay, we're do that on a leg press. You know what I mean? And then, you know, you eventually get around to doing legs with them.
Right.
But as you go, you make sure you kind of, you know, let them know, and like this principle we're doing on this set right now, you can do this on all these other exercises too. You know, like kind of give them that knowledge of how it's layered, you know?
Well, you teach them intensity too. I mean,
yeah.
Hell, I've sent you 4 or 5 of my clients to train. And their physiques, even if they only train with you a couple times, immediately are better because they take what the intensity and all the things you taught them from those 1 or 2 workouts, and they apply them in all their workouts.
So I took a client of mine through a leg workout the other day,
mm-hmm.
and he says legs are the sorest they've ever been in his entire life.
Right.
Do you want to know what the fancy workout was?
Yes. Tell me all the things I've never heard of.
So he did 3 working sets of extensions.
Mm-hmm.
1 was a strip set. He did 2 to 3. I'll give him credit for 3 work sets on the hack squat.
Right.
And he did 2 working sets on the leg press.
Right.
and his quads were the sorest they've ever been in his life. So, I mean, there was nothing involved other than just tightening up form, stabilizing the body.
Right.
Because he was one of those guys, like, some people kind of move around a lot during the set.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, just lock in. Like, lock in. The only thing moving is your legs. Like, your upper body's locked in and rigid, and your core is tight, and you're bracing, and you're kind of pulling.
Feet are tight, yeah.
Yeah, like, even pulling down on the handles with the lats or pushing up with the shoulders or whatever you're doing to, like, lock in.
Yep.
And then, so that was one of the things. And the rest was just, pushing them to where the reps, the range of perceived exertion hit a 9, and I had to touch the frame a bit to get them up.
Right.
There wasn't like crazy anything, but it was just locking in, focusing on the muscle, moving his feet a little bit, and then just going hard.
Yep.
So a lot of people, they don't realize what the emphasis should be on. We see people doing crazy exercises all the time. We talk about this all the time. But, it's 2-hour workouts, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Had you written that workout and handed it to him, number one, he would have been disappointed because it's not much of a workout. It would have been easy. He would not have been sore. You know what I mean? So I think that those are important things to factor into people, because guaranteed after that workout, he knows what that is. But had you handed it to him on a sheet of paper, he'd be like, where's the other side? Because I'm sure we're supposed to do more than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's cool, and I like that, and I know that he's now armed with knowledge.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, his chest day was better that week.
Yeah, like that's a thing. Yeah, like and there's something that feels good about arming someone with knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So your personal trainer should be able to do that. So make sure that you are arming your clients with information. Here's a tip. Well, I don't know if it's a tip. It might be a terrible fucking business tip, but
a tip nonetheless.
I actually want all my clients to eventually move on and do their own thing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, you should have that intention that you want them to learn from you and get to know their body. I guess I'm talking about the contest prep people now at this point, like get to know their body, learn from you, all that sort of stuff, arm them with knowledge,
Yeah.
So you should be able to explain stuff to people.
Yep, dig it for sure. All right, let's see here. Bum, bum, bum. No.
Is it my turn?
No.
No?
No, it's not. Hardest fact for you to realize about life or bodybuilding?
Hardest fact?
Yes.
Huh. Kind of a realist, I guess. Like, I already know life's not fair. I already know. Yeah. I already know that, the world is a vicious place and could, get killed at any moment. I don't know. What's the hardest fact? I guess, geez, I don't even know what to say about that.
I jammed you because of the wording. It's difficult.
Well, yeah, it's like I kind of accept that the world is a really rough place in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I never really had a hard time like wrapping my brain around any of that. I've never had a hard time with like death being the end. I've never had a hard time with really any of that stuff. It doesn't bother me, I guess. I just understand that's the reality. I'm very red pill, like, the Matrix. I'm very like, I'd rather live in like a dystopian reality where I could battle my oppressor than in a fake reality where I didn't know the truth.
Yeah, I think the thing I would say, which covers both realms, is that there's a misconception that people do you wrong or things like that. What I found is really what you want to work on is controlling your variables. So what I say is if I set up expectations for someone and they fail them, that's on me.
Right. That's a good one.
because that's the deal, is those are your expectations, not theirs. And
Right.
I think the moment you can do that mentally and really commit to it, nothing is personal anymore. Like when somebody, quote, fails me, I'm like, okay, maybe that was better for them. Like it literally, even if I feel like I got fucked over, okay.
Right.
You know, it just, and I think when you accept that, because in earlier in my life, I think because I'm a fighter in general, I want to fix them. I want them to realize they fucked up. I want to give them the glorious chance of apologizing.
Right.
And nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
So really for me, what I've learned now is just go, okay, noted. And then that's why also I can work with people who I don't respect or I don't whatever, because I know what I see them as. So Ron Partlow could do a lot of damage to me that someone else couldn't do because you're in. I know who you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you fall short, I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Like wasn't ready for that. But outside of the 5 to 10 people that are in the inner circle for me, that's the magic, is realizing that your expectation is usually the problem.
That's an awesome one. And it's, I guess that sort of opens up a new way to look at the question. I wasn't really thinking that's a great one. Was it, don't have expectations and you'll never be disappointed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And, yeah, also too, like, I've had a few points in my life where because of that, you also kind of run into the fact of, that you're never going to change this person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Even though your argument is perfectly rational.
Yep.
They do not see it that way. And it might be 20 years before you could ever have another conversation that might go anywhere different.
Yep.
So you just have to walk away with them thinking you're a fucking idiot and you thinking, I can't believe this person doesn't understand what happened.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because that used to really bother me. Like if something happened, I'd be like, fuck, I have to explain to this person what actually happened. They think this happened? No way.
Right.
And that would bother me. I'd be like, fuck, I can't believe they think that.
Right.
Like, and so I'd just like really try to fix it, like you were saying. It's funny that we both kind of had that trait. But then there's a point in your life where you're like, oh, well, a certain amount of people are going to think you're a fucking asshole or a fucking idiot or just not be able to see things your way.
Yeah. Acceptance is a powerful thing. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're up.
There you go. You froze for a sec, buddy.
I hope I was wearing a good face.
Okay. Sample meal plan. I actually wanted to talk about this one just because I want to know like what you have to say because we never discuss this shit. So
because we never talk about bodybuilding actually, but go ahead.
sample meal plan for vegans. And then he starts asking some technical stuff. Well, not technical, but he's like 6 meals, 2 bean, 2 soy, 2 shakes. Is it okay? Like, can I eat 500 grams of tofu a day? Mm-hmm. So obviously I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how much tofu you can eat without fucking, It's like getting mercury poisoning from tuna. Is there like a limit? I don't know. But so let's just talk about vegan meal plans for a bit. Like what do you have to say about just
So I work with
bodybuilding vegan?
I have 4 vegans I work with currently. And what I did, rather than me taking the time to really delve in and force them on foods and things I wanted them to eat, I went the other route and I taught them how to macro diet.
Yes.
So I went really obsessive about teaching this is how you do, because the thing about macros and the reason it fucks people up is because if I say your macros, just from math in the conversation, are 100 of everything, 100 carbs, 100 fat, 100 protein. If you're within 2 or 3 grams on the protein and carbs and 1 or 2 on the fat, we're good. You're following my diet. If you're off by 20, you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you have to drive home with people with macros is for it to be successful,
stick to them.
And typically what the majority of the people, and I've done macros for years with clients, some of them, I do both, but they end up kind of putting themselves on a bro diet eventually, because it's just easier to do a daily routine that they know. And then every now and then they're like, oh shit, tonight we're going out to eat whatever. Let me go to that meal, look at the macros from it, and then reduce or add as needed on the other 5 meals. And then as far as the meal number, there's nothing magic about 6 meals on any diet. It's just what we've always fallen back on. And the reason that I write them that way is it usually gives people a way to eat the food.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't eat all of my food in 3 meals. I just couldn't get it done.
Right.
So it's not that 5 meals are magic or 7 is magic. It's that many times of feeding allows me to get the food down without feeling like I'm going to die. So number of meals does not matter. I would definitely look at macros, and I've had huge, very, very positive results with all of my clients that way. But I did find about 2 years ago, I did write the plans, bro style, and hand them, here's your diet. And every single one of them ran into a wall faster than my meat eating clients, where they didn't like my food anymore.
Right.
And that was a struggle, because I'm like, if you want me to whip you up a diet real quick, normal, like literally just stay on the phone with me, I'll knock it out. Like, it's no problem. I had to actually do homework to I don't remember what's in a lentil.
Yeah.
Half a cup of lentils, or you know what I mean, or 200 grams. Like, I don't know that. So it was just easier to work backwards, and I've had great success. So if you truly believe in the vegan lifestyle and the bodybuilding, number one, forget about everything you ever did when or if you were working with people that ate protein, whole food protein sources, and just follow the macros. It'll be as close to the same as possible. I will say very openly, I have never in my entire life seen someone who went from eating whole food protein sources, steak, chicken, that kind of stuff, to vegan, and their physique stay as good.
Yeah. And then I've known a couple people who were vegan bodybuilders, and they looked great. Awesome. Conditioned, looked good. Holy shit, that guy's vegan. He looks great. And they started eating meat again. Though the one guy added eggs and fish back into his diet. Yep. And the other guy just went back to like chicken and turkey and everything. Yep. And they both got way bigger. Yep. And it was like, I remember talking to the one guy about it. He's like, yeah, it's like the macros aren't different, but something happened. And like, scientists might say there's no difference in the protein, but I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I think it's funny you say that, because I run into that often. Maybe it's a saturated fat. Maybe they're not getting saturated fat from vegan foods. Who knows what it is? You know what I mean? Because saturated fats are pretty important too. Like, yeah, that's the thing, is you just can't reproduce. I mean, I say the same thing. Like, I tell people, if you have to have shakes, that's okay. Like, they got the macros. But I will also tell you from my experience that when the majority of my diet went to whole food, I got better. Right. So, and again, macro to macro, science says that's bullshit, and it doesn't work that way. Well, it's kind of like the old, bodybuilders with fish and greens. It's the same. It is, but for some reason, when you make that switch, your skin turns into cellophane. For me, it was egg whites. I go lots of egg whites. Same idea. Just get that fat down extra low, and people are like, but that, you shouldn't have to have your fat that low or whatever. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, trust. All I could say is look. So yeah, those are the factors to look at. And actually, Azaria had done that. She had went to vegan from regular. Her physique changed drastically. And then I remember I saw her on one trip up to see you, and I was like, oh, I saw you're back. And she was like, well, I added in fish. Right. That was it. Yeah, I know a few people. That's exactly the same story. And I mean, it was drastic, where I was like, oh, you're competing again. Because she looked so much better. And she goes, no, I just added fish. I'm like, right. There you go. It's my turn. Okay. And by the way, I totally agree with you. I've had several vegan clients that have done very, very well, and I just let them macro their food. Right. Because it was like, they're vegan bodybuilders. They're already kind of health obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
So the threat of them using Oreo cookies for all their carbs and fats is probably not
Yeah, you're concerned that that's going to happen.
not really a concern, you know? So every once in a while, I just say, send me some pictures of your meals and tell me what they are.
Right.
What's in that?
What exactly am I looking at? Okay, here's one. 3 pros that you would love to train with this year.
Oh, this year?
Yes.
Oh. Well, how about Flex Lewis at his new gym in Vegas?
Yes.
There you go. I'll throw that one out.
That I was blindsided by and didn't even realize he was moving until he was there.
Yeah, that was funny. I was talking to him on Instagram. He's like, now you're way closer. And I was like, yes, I am.
I'm definitely closer now. He's like 4 hours away now.
Yeah. So I'll say that. Good luck with your shoulders and your knee, by the way, Flex. Geez, who else? Let me just think here. Fuck. How about Dusty Hanshaw?
For old time's sake.
There we go. At Dino's. Imagine if we got to train at Dino's this year.
Can we just go train back at Dino's one?
I know,
I'm afraid to ever
won't
train
happen,
back
right?
in that gym because
No, I know.
I don't know if that workout will ever get topped.
No, I definitely can't do the same exercises next time. Let's see. Okay. And you know what? How's this? A retirement. Let's. I want to have a chest day with Cutler.
There you go.
Retired guys. I'll crack a few jokes, get them laughing between sets. There you go.
Roll that through.
That'd be a good year for me. I'm not going to say Akeem because I don't want to slow him down. We take all the plates off from my set.
Yeah, that's actually a factor you have to you look at now that your goals have changed.
Yeah.
That's funny. Now, who would it be? All right, now I'm changing the question because that's my question because I can do this. You're in your prime, and you could train with anyone minus the normals. Who would it be? You know, because you've trained with me a million times, so you got to train with someone, even if it's somebody you've never trained with or whatever, or only a couple times. Who would they be? In your peak, and you're trying to get fucking huge. Who do you? I
want to go train with Hollingshead again. And I want to go train with. I want to fly Ian Valera out to have a workout at my gym.
Nice, love it.
There you go. And go down and smash one out with Hunter.
There you go.
There you
I
go.
like that.
Because those are all guys
who train their asses off.
Yeah, those guys are all good dudes too. So you can go for food after and have some laughs. So that's what it's all about, right?
It's always about the food.
Yeah, it's it's the camaraderie and stuff like that, and that would be a pretty good 3-stop workout tour. Yeah, you bet.
I love it. Yeah, I think that those would be sick too because damn well you could have one of the best workouts of your life with all 3 of them.
Oh yeah, it'd be a lot.
And vice versa, because you know how that works. I mean, we've all had those. I mean, just like all the trips we've done. I think people would be amazed if they knew how nasty some workouts have been following 12-hour days in foreign countries and training less than our usual gyms sometimes, and just you know the wackiness that can take place. I always love being at the gym and you and I are getting after it. Then you look over and you got a bunch of other well-known freaks. It's just like the energy in a room gets ridiculous at those events.
You know who else I'd love to have another workout with? We had a great one together one time. It was fucking one of those no energy Sunday night after FIBO workouts. You know the ones right. You and I have done them. You and I have done them a bunch of times. And I trained. I'd like to have. Anyways, I trained with Fuad once like that.
Right.
And I think it'd be fun to train with Fuad again because he's a little banged up too, so it'd be fun. He'd still kick my ass on the legs though.
I don't think that most people realize though too, and I know you've seen it a million times, like Kai at these events. He'll get there, he'll do 30 or so minutes of walking, then he'll stretch.
Yeah.
And then he'll go blast out a 2-hour fucking workout that never ends. That's ridiculous. Then he'll do cardio after. I remember talking to Adam when he used to be going with him everywhere, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll be here for about 4 hours tonight."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Oh yeah, It's the same routine as at home. Just happens to start at 11 p.m. instead.
Right.
You know, and thinking about like what Kai's days were looking like back then, 10 hours nonstop, signing, talking. You know what I mean?
It makes you think like, there's got to be amphetamines involved.
I sure hope so. I don't want him to be able to do it natural and be that much better.
How are you still here? How are you still focused?
Yeah. Breathing. Good job.
Oh, man, that's funny. Okay, that was a good question. Okay. So this guy is on a push-pull leg split.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he's having really big recovery issues. He's natural and he's dieting and he's having some problems. And he's like, can I train every other day? Is this what I need to do? Is it possible that he might have to do an every other day push-pull leg split to properly recover?
It might be. And the thing is I think that what's funny is the fear that he's having is that he's not training enough, but that's going to put him at 4 days a week,
Right.
4-3. But I think every decision is based on how your body reacts. So I wouldn't be afraid to go for that, and I would watch what happens. He might get better. The other thing is when someone's that beat up on push-pull legs, I think they got too much volume in that workout. I just could pretty well guess because he's probably training with the most ridiculous intensity and he's got a little too much in it.
Right, like he's doing 2-hour push-pull leg workouts, like he's 2-hour chest, shoulders, try workouts,
and he's
2-hour back
actually
buys.
training that long. Because that's what I think most people don't realize is, when I do a push-pull leg, you see the videos and it's like, holy shit. But I bet on a pull day, I'm probably actually moving maximum weight for 10 minutes.
Right.
The entire workout, 10 minutes, maybe. You know what I mean? And I think that's where things get missed is what you need to be focusing on in that kind of training is what you're doing in those working sets. And like you just listed with that leg workout, that was 7 sets total in an hour. So factor that in. That would be my guess. But yeah, I have no issue at all with them doing it every other day.
Okay. You got one lined up?
I have a million lined up. It's been everyone was nice to me. They made the choices pretty easy.
I've got a few good ones right here.
All right, good. But you have to answer this one on your own, so I don't get mad. 6th week into a bulk. Can I do a mini cut for 4 weeks, dropping bulking gear and using cutting gear and dropping calories?
Well, I really hate the bulking gear, cutting gear reference. And so what was the first part? The bulking gear, cutting gear stuff, I stopped my brain. I have to hear that.
No, so he's 6 weeks into a bulk, and he wants to know if he can do a 4-week mini cut now. There's just a lot wrong with this.
Yes. Okay. First of all, 6 weeks isn't a bulk. 6 months is a bulk.
Yep.
Secondly, I hate the term bulk.
Yep.
You're trying to add muscle by allowing a calorie surplus to a certain degree. You're trying to gain muscle. I don't like to use the term bulk anymore because I feel it takes their brain in the wrong direction.
That's like saying you want to lose weight. I tell people, no, you want to lose fat.
If you're dieting every 6 weeks for 4 weeks, I just don't.
Do the math on how long it's going to take to put on any size.
You're not going to accumulate any size. You got to eat and train heavy and just push. Like I tell people, my first bulk was 7 years long.
Right.
And I went from 137 pounds to 265 pounds.
Right.
And then I competed with strided glutes at 230.
Right. Because you put on real tissue too with that amount of time. Now, are you a believer in somewhat in set points, meaning in order to not easily lose muscle mass, you need to have it for a while?
Yes. The longer you have muscle on your body, the more like solidified it becomes, the more like structurally sound it is, I think. You know how they say, structural muscle and cell volume muscle and all that stuff.
Yep.
The longer you have it, I think that's just sort of evidenced by, retired guys that keep their muscle really easily in a lot of cases just by training and eating good. I know some pros shrink down to nothing, but a lot of them stop training completely, right? Like, Dorian didn't lift weights for like a few years, or he just did yoga,
Yeah.
So, there's lots of that, but people have all these misconceptions. Some guys lose weight because they want to lose weight. So
that's their goal.
I know bodybuilders that have turned vegan and stopped training. So of course they lost all their size, but for the most part, muscle you've had on your body longer is easier to keep.
Yeah.
So you got to eat, like 6 weeks is not long enough to,
well, it's not even long enough to see results.
Yeah, no. Are your pictures any different?
I hate when people, because I get asked that. In fact, I had a guy, I had someone ask me recently, what's a big goal for putting on muscle mass in a year? And I said 12 pounds. 12 pounds of true muscle in a year is a great goal.
Right.
And I immediately had someone respond back to that and say, 12 pounds, I put on 30 in a month. And I'm like,
right.
We're talking about something different. You know what I'm saying? So that's the key. Because, if you were to put on 2 pounds of real tissue in 6 weeks, I'd be stoked out of my mind for you.
Oh, I'd assume you were kind of a newbie too.
Yeah. So why on earth would it be time to diet?
Yeah.
So go. You're up.
Okay. What do you think are the main bullshit stereotypes, the biggest bullshit stereotypes about bodybuilders that you've come across, and how do you think that's changed over the years?
Well, I'm being cautious because this is somewhat accurate for a few. But I would
First
say
of all stereotypes are sort of motivated by at least a decent percentage of that population actually behaving that way.
Yeah. So what I would say is that the bodybuilders are dumb and just me eat food, me lift weights. The amount of, I hate to use this word, but the amount of science that is in bodybuilding is ridiculous. The amount of actual thought that good bodybuilders, good coaches put into how do we make this happen is very, very high. So I think a lot of people just don't understand the amount of knowledge it takes to do this at a high level. And I think that is driven home by the fact that there are so many douchebag bodybuilders. And as we all know, if 100 people compliment you today on something, but 2 people are ruthless in some way, you think about the 2.
Yeah.
So I think what happens in life is someone may meet a Ron Partlow or a Flex Lewis and have a really good hit on who a bodybuilder is, but then they meet that one fucking douche that just sits in their mind and he's stupid and, basically all the stereotypes, and then that's what drives them home. So that'd be my biggest one though, is that bodybuilding is somehow a meathead sport. And that's why I joke. I'll say meathead moment, because good bodybuilders are typically not meatheads.
Right. Yeah, I would agree that that's a big one. My buddy joked one time, he's like, man, guys with good arm genetics that get in bar fights ruin it for all of us. Because they look like bodybuilders. Because the guys with good arm genetics will wear the tight t-shirts to the bar, and maybe they just they don't even train legs, but they train arms, and then they get hammered and they get in a fight, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I saw some bodybuilder get in a fight.
Yeah,
it's like, that guy's not a bodybuilder. Jesus, fuck. I see that guy at the gym.
Yeah.
I see that guy at the gym. He's just an idiot. He barely knows what he's doing. He just has good arm genetics.
Right.
He's got big fucking, I've seen that so many times. Like, he benches. He's got a decent upper body, no back, no legs.
Yep.
Yeah, this bodybuilder asshole. I'm like, oh, God.
Use that term properly, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a big one. Another one, too, is like the lazy thing. Yes, there are some very lazy bodybuilders out there.
Right.
I will definitely put it, but there's lazy people everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lazy people that have really good office jobs and they're just sitting there on YouTube all day long doing fucking nothing. You know, there's all sorts of lazy people. But I think some bodybuilders get misinterpreted as lazy because bodybuilding seems to, the people who do bodybuilding like me, like you, we seem to be able to not care about so many other things.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And like, I think like I've had people say, oh, all you do is go to the gym.
Right.
And I'm like, well, no, that's not all I do. I just structure my day around it being a really important thing and it's a priority.
Right.
But you're under the impression that I just like nap the rest of the day.
It's a really long nap before the gym.
Do you know what I mean? So there's like that type of thing. I remember, you know, all those years I worked in the bar, I used to go to bed at like 4 a.m.
Right.
And I would get up at noon. So I would sleep 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like a good bodybuilder should.
Yep.
And I struggled my whole life with people joking. They're like, oh yeah, well you fucking sleep till noon. You don't have to worry about, you don't fucking do anything. And I'm like, I sleep 8 hours.
Right. Same as you.
I don't sleep 12 fucking hours.
Right.
Or, you know, I don't go to bed at 10 and get up at noon. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm working on my laptop at 3 a.m.
Right.
when you're in bed. Like, it's just a different lifestyle. So that one kind of like bothers me because, you know, sometimes I found, I'm like, fuck, are they looking at me when they're saying lazy? You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's funny, actually. I can totally see that, though, because people view only what they see. I know I get that sometimes. People will tell me, like, man, it's so hardcore that you go to the gym at 4 a.m. back when I owned the stores. I was like, oh, no, it's just because it's the only time I can go.
Right.
Like, there's no time that makes it more efficient or more hardcore or you're more dead serious.
Right.
Get your training in whenever that is, you know. And now I'm in the spot where it's like wherever I feel optimal. So I'm the reverse of hardcore now. Like,
right. The opposite.
You know, yeah. Now it's like whenever I feel the best, that's when I go to the gym. You know.
Okay. Your turn.
Is it me? Okay.
I got another good one in the wings.
Fire right now then, because I'm looking.
Okay. Have either of you had someone, because we've spoken about this before, but have you actually had someone in your life that was trying to discourage you from bodybuilding enough that ties had to be cut?
I have not.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually have not. I've never had anybody. I've had somebody that thought it was a lot, but I think people who know me would understand that wouldn't work.
Right.
Like, because, I mean, you know me, all kidding aside, like I do what I do in every aspect of my life. So you're definitely not going to convince me I need to stop doing something.
Right. Okay.
How about you?
Pretty much the same. I don't remember anyone being unsupportive to the point where I had to remove them from my life. It just never happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if maybe is that luck, or is that because you already sort of sniffed out that trait in those people before you let them into your life, even before bodybuilding?
I think it's the latter, because I have the same thing with training partners. Training partners are impossible to find good ones. I've always had a good training partner.
Right. Like every training partner I've had has been absolutely awesome. I haven't always had one.
Yeah.
But
when you do,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing. Like, either I mean, at this point in my life, no one even approaches that isn't ready. But early on, it would be a conversation. And I think that's the other thing is some people don't have these conversations. Like if I'm out at dinner with a girl now and I'm a single guy, I'm covering this. Hey, this is my fucking life. So if that doesn't work for you, you know, enjoy dinner. Let's have a good laugh, and we don't need to do this anymore.
Right.
You know, like
we wouldn't bang on the way out though.
Yeah, we wouldn't get to the point. Yeah, I got to show what we were doing, but you wouldn't get to the point where it was an issue.
Right.
That'd be covered so quickly. I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't do. And all of my successful friends that are single, like first date, if it's even going remotely well, all of a sudden they're just tossing shit on the table. I don't want children. I want this. Like, anything. How do you feel about these things? No. All right, cool. Well, let's get some dessert.
That's funny. Yeah, we've gone over that before. The first date, the questions that have to be asked.
Yeah, I'm serious though, because people don't, and I'm like, well, then why would you drag it off? If I met a girl, she was like, I want 5 kids. I'd be like, well,
yeah,
good luck with that. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
how many of those kids do I count as? Like all 5 of them?
And of course,
mature.
And of course, you don't even have to discuss whether they're into ass stuff or not, because you've already gone over that in the Instagram DMs.
Well, yeah. Like, why did you even DM me if you're not?
We covered the butt stuff already. Let's talk about the life things now. Are you into you gonna want a bunch of kids?
That's so sad because it's actually accurate. At this point, if anybody would reach out, I'm like, how did you not know that? I put it out all the time.
Yeah. Wait. You didn't see the butt sex memes?
Do you remember when Luke talked about that? He was like, at this point, how would they not know?
How would they not know? You imagine the shock? He's putting out butt sex memes just every day, just pounding your Instagram with butt sex memes. And you meet this chick and she tells you how funny you are, how hilarious your memes are. You're such a funny dude. Ha, ha, ha. You go out, you have a great time. And then you go to do it. And then she's like, oh, no, I'm not into that.
See, even Jed's pissed.
He's pissed. Amazon's at the door. They're like, how could you not have been on the same page as this?
You said my memes were funny.
You said I was funny.
Oh, you thought I was kidding. That's where things get thrown off, right there.
I thought they were all just jokes.
Okay, here we go. Lose both of your legs or both of your arms. Go.
Oh, legs.
Yeah, it wasn't even hard for me either. I was like,
that's an easy question. Yeah, for sure. I mean, not even a question. I mean, so many things you can still do that way.
Yeah.
Be a hard go the other way.
Yeah, especially at our age, because I have there's a lady here, Barbie, that has no arms, and I believe it since she was a kid. So she 100% can do everything I can do, probably better with just legs and feet. But yeah, come on. I would be helpless.
Oh, I just play video games, jerk off, lift weights all day.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, you can't like arms. I mean, literally, don't get me wrong, it'd be a huge change in your life, but you're totally functional. It just takes away the things you do there. I'd have to learn how to operate a fork.
Yeah.
Flexible. How's it coming anywhere near my face?
Yeah.
That's not a tough one for me, but I had to ask because I was like, that seems easy.
It's not coming anywhere near my face. Here's one. What is your? I like how this is worded because I'm not sure how you're going to take it. But what is your biggest fear during your workout? I'll just let you take that and do whatever you do with it.
It's so bad. Okay, so I have one. Well, I have many, but I have one huge weakness in the gym.
Fear of smelling?
No, thank God. I know I don't smell, so we're good there.
No, we've gone over that already.
I smell like mahogany. It's fantastic.
Leather and tobacco.
You know what it is that I will be in the gym I'm at now, that I'll be too close to someone who's blammering bullshit that's incorrect to either their client or training partner.
Because you have a bad habit.
Well, and then I'm in this jam because I'm now, number one, I'm now listening to the ridiculousness. And fortunately for me, I can turn the switch on and off. So like when I grab a bar, I'm good to go. But Tommy gets to watch this happen on the regular. And then I have a moral debacle where I want to step in and save this situation. But I'm also not looking to add any more friends. I got 3. We're maxed out. Waiting list is already at 2. I don't need this. Then it becomes a thing. They're bringing me questions all the time. Yeah. So that is my greatest fear in the gym is that situation right there where you're like, which happened yesterday.
Okay.
Had a guy who decided because the incline bench is the over by the dumbbells were being used, that he would use the one that's set up in the Smith, but actually do his curls in there and all these other things. And so I needed to actually use the Smith.
Right. And he's just sitting in the Smith doing curls with dumbbells.
Yeah. And then standing up and doing stuff, and very much. So I said, hey.
Like it's a stretching rack.
Yeah. I was like, I need to use the Smith. And he was like, okay. And I was like, and the bench. Because it's for here. And he's like, yeah, the other ones were being used. I said, cool. Yeah, they're not anymore. Right. Can I help you take your stuff over or whatever? And you could see the look of like I was the gym bully. And I'm like, I can't move the Smith machine to those benches.
Right.
But you can move your shit to those benches that are now open, and everyone's a winner. And I just remember like thinking, this guy thinks I'm an asshole.
Right. You even like, hey, I'll carry your stuff for you.
Yeah, like I was like trying to make sure like, hey, sorry to interrupt you. I know this is fucked up, but... Or I could sit here for 20 more minutes while you do whatever this fucking... Because he was still using it when I got over there for my next thing. And I just remember thinking like, logic is a weird thing.
Right. And then you look like a gym bully.
Yeah, and of course, it's me and fucking Tommy walk around like, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a bully. Like, I'll wait for 2 hours if all the equipment's being used. It's on me, you know? That's just
right.
This sucks. So yeah, I felt that little pain. I'm trying to be nice. But the thing is, you know what happens when in the beginning you feel a little bad, then they get really stupid, and now he's just a fucking idiot, and I don't care anymore. Because he literally took these, so he had the hexagon dumbbells that don't even go where the other ones are, and he carried them over to where he was using them by the bench. Then when he walked away, he left them on the floor. And my gym is my gym. So I'm like, hey, I go to Tommy. I'm like, is he done with these? So Tommy goes over and goes, hey, don't forget to put your dumbbells back. Oh, I wasn't using those. Tommy's like, well, we actually watched you pick them up and take them from the Smith and over there. No, wasn't using those. I'm like, Tommy, it's good. We're going to put his 20s back.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
So
right.
I'm trying not to be too possessive, because if I actually own the gym, that would be simple. But come with me. We'd watch the recording. I go, cool. You don't train here anymore. Goodbye. Don't be a fucking douche. Put your shit back. I put every single thing back.
Yeah.
When somebody leaves something, I'm beyond here. Especially right now. They'll fucking spit shine the machine and then leave 2 plates on it. I'm like, I'd rather you put the plates back. I'll clean it before I sit down if I want to.
Right. That's
Your
funny.
ass swass means nothing to me, but those weights on there, that pisses me off. Okay, go ahead. I'm okay.
That's funny. I forgot which one I was going to ask, because you were
rambling.
You were rambling. You were getting in there.
Fucking son right there. That guy with his hexagon dumbbells.
Fucking put your fucking weights away. You know what I mean? I totally agree with you, though. Oh yeah. So we've gone over this a little bit, and I was sort of terrible at doing it. So let's discuss it again quickly if you want. But how often do you deload, and what do you consider a deload?
So I don't have a set time for deloads.
Right.
And I will say, I'm assuming it's from the therapies. My deloads are few and far between. I don't know if it's because of the amount of rest I get. I don't know if it's my life is a lot less stressful, what it is, but I bet you I truly deload twice a year. And for me, typically a deload is I don't go to the gym at all for like a week.
Yep.
I used to try to make it a 2-week thing. I can't stay gone that long. I'll get arrested. So I'll just take a week, and I don't enjoy going to the gym and just like getting a pump. I get nothing out of that. And the fear that I have, and I think you can understand this, I'm dead serious. You go to the gym, right? And you're like, I'm just going to get a little pump in. So you start on your barbell rows and feels good. Still feels good. Add a plate. Next thing you know, I'm fucking pulling 495 because I feel good today.
Right.
And now I'm training, and I'm on day 2 of the deload. So I just stay home.
Yeah.
Like, just protect myself from myself. I don't go to the gym. Plus, I find that when I do get back in, I'm so hungry for it that like the training is off the charts because I haven't been in at all in a week. And yeah, so that's both answers on that.
The only deload protocol that I ever had success with, in the sense that I was able to stick to it, was taking a week off the gym.
Yep.
All the other attempts to like not go too hard or do this or do that, I always like had a real hard time actually following those rules. And it would always be kind of like you said, like day 1 of the deload, day 2 of the deload, day 3 I trained a little too hard, day 4 I went all out.
Yep.
It's like
so basically 2 of your workouts were slightly less than usual.
yeah. So, and I'm more likely to, I always managed things by skipping body parts. Like if my shoulder was acting,
don't train chest or shoulders for a couple of days.
Yeah. So like shoulders are hurt. Okay. Well, I'm going to skip chest and shoulders this week.
Yep.
And I'm going to do an extra arm day.
Right.
And I'm going to go in and train hams separate from legs. So I still got my 5 days this week.
Right.
And I'll just use it as an opportunity to bomb the hamstrings with like a shit ton of volume that they might not be used to. And because they'll have their own day, and I'll hit calves an extra time.
Yep.
And then chest and shoulders get to rest, and I'll see how my shoulder feels. And then next week I'll do an all lateral shoulder workout with no pressing.
Yep.
And I'll see how that goes. And I'll do like an all pec deck hammer machine chest day with the reps in the 15 range. And I'll see how that feels. So I just would manage things, you know. I'm not sure, again, if that was the smartest way to do it, but that's how my brain was working.
That's the thing is I think that, like, for example, and I've talked about this before. So when I got my hernia surgeries in 2009, the biggest I'd ever been, the heaviest was 286. Soft, but 286. And I just could never get past it. And because of the type of hernias I had, I was out for 16 weeks. No training. Within 12 weeks of being back, I was bigger and better than I'd ever been.
Right.
I was 290 something and in much better condition than I was at 286. And I remember saying to myself, you know, if I would take off a couple of months every year off. And at the time, because I was depressed, I wasn't eating my protein. When I came back, I was fat and small. You know what I mean? So I told myself, man, if I could just do this every year, take 2 or 3 months off, blast. And I would try every year. I'd come around, the shows are over. I'm like, today we start the deload. I'm going to take some time off. And I remember actually in 2010, I was working with Chris and I told him my plan. And he's like, all right, cool. And like, I was about a week and a half into the break. And I was having anxiety, like literal anxiety. And Chris was like, it's not working. You're fucking yourself. Go to the gym.
Right.
And it's funny because my point of that is sometimes what works on paper and what's a great idea and what even proved to work for you, it only worked because I couldn't go. It wasn't an option. So I wasn't stressed. It was just, this is what it is.
Right.
You know, I wish I had the discipline, but I think for us, not going to the gym is like other people going. You know, it takes a lot of discipline to take a full week off for me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, even though I know it's the smart thing, you know, it's what you should do.
I make sure I book a client every time I would normally train just to fuck my day up. So like book clients on those workouts, like 5 p.m. book, just to force it, you know.
But prior to the COVID bullshit, I used to go to a movie every day.
Yeah.
Covered 2.5 hours. So I would literally be like, I'll just get a movie in the middle of the day. Like,
you even drink your pre-workout so you stay awake the whole movie. Your pre-workout, take all your pump pills.
Your routine.
And then you just walk into the theater, sit down
with your food,
and watch the whole movie. And then you're home from the gym same time. Dogs don't know the difference.
Yeah, it's time for your post-workout. It's time for your shake, dude.
You don't disrupt the dog's life at all. They're like, oh, he's home from the gym.
He looks a little flat, but he's home at least.
That's funny. Okay, so I had a good friend of mine. I get a question here. It's how to keep insulin sensitivity in the off season. But I had a good friend of mine message the other day, and he's a bodybuilder who's like, I think he's 41, I can't quite remember how old he is. It's 40. We'll say he's 40. And anyways, he's been, competing on and off his whole life. Good bodybuilder, very serious, hardcore guy, knowledgeable, all that stuff. And he said that he's been testing his blood sugar and occasionally, sporadically tests his blood sugar. And he noticed that lately it was getting really high.
Okay.
And he was worried that he maybe needs to stop taking GH and lose some weight and go in a deficit. And, because it's been a lot of years of being on and off gear and taking a lot of GH. And he's one of those guys that get his hands on real GH. So he took he's taking it and he's fooled around with insulin and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's just so concerned. He's like, I'm seeing some blood sugar that was, resting blood sugar that's too high.
Right.
And he even messed around with a little bit of insulin to control it. And then he realized he was controlling his blood sugar with a little bit of insulin.
Right.
And he's like, what do I do? And I said, I think you need to lose weight, start cardio, go into a calorie deficit, stop taking growth hormone. Mm-hmm. And anything that could make you insulin resistant at all.
Right.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think in his case, it seems to be factoring in his age and everything else. I think that's a very obvious choice because you are looking at periods of life of doing things that you definitely know have caused this. His aren't caused by eating like an asshole. Because a lot of people, that really is what it is they throw off their insulin sensitivity because after a show, they binge out and then they keep so much shit in their diet all year. It's really not an insulin sensitivity problem. It's what they're feeding.
Right.
And that's very, very common. And that's an easy fix. Typically, one of the fastest ways is going straight with keto, real keto, and getting people back where they need to be. In his case, that I factor age into everything.
Right.
Even myself, as I look at what I would like to do next, I say, well, shit, I'm also 39. So, at some point you want to make the decision to come down before the decision is made for you.
Right.
And in his case, I'm sure it'll be an easy fix. A couple months of doing that, bringing the weight down, cleaning up the diet, getting rid of the things that definitely cause it. He'll have no issues. And at that point, he can assess what he wants to do next. That's the beauty of it too.
And you would do a real keto.
Yeah, true, which most people have no idea what that is, and they're not even close to it. Right. Because with true keto, you also have to watch your protein levels.
Right.
Because you're not going to fall into true ketosis eating 70 ounces of meat a day. I know that sounds crazy because people are thinking, how's that work? It's a fact. You've got to lower your protein too.
Okay.
Yeah, so the obsession has to change. Once you're getting into that, the obsession has to change to whatever it takes to handle this.
Right.
You can't be also concerned with being a bodybuilder.
Right. So most people who do keto do too low of fat, too high of protein.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they're just turning protein into glucose anyways. Exactly. Instead of turning fats into fuel.
Yeah, because what's happening is your body with carbs in the system, the glucose is essentially already there. Your body is an adaptive machine. So if they're not there, it says, well, we can use this protein. It's not as efficient, but we don't have any other option. And that'll become. Whereas, like you said, if your fat is high enough and your protein is moderate, it's going to go with the fat because, again, it's easier. It's all about efficiency for your body. What's the easiest way to do this?
Okay. Cool. That's pretty much exactly what I said to do. He had already mentioned something about keto. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I didn't mention that to him. But yeah, he said he's starting a deficit and cardio today. So, okay. Good advice, Dusty.
Well, since it was the same advice, it was great advice.
Yeah. Your advice was excellent.
It was flawless, in fact.
Okay. You got another one?
I have a million, but here, let's... Okay. For more back thickness, do you cut your widening movements or do you just add more thickening movements?
Well, I don't really think about back training that way. I get what he means.
Yeah.
I think of rows and pull downs and all the different, planes of motion in between the straight row and the vertical pull down.
Right.
So I just, it depends. I doubt his volume is so high that he can't add some extra work. Most people need some extra work on their back anyways.
Right.
And most people, like, your back training volume is incredibly low.
Right.
But you have perfect activation of your entire back all the time.
Right.
So a lot of people don't have that, the connection with their back that someone like you or Dorian has. So, so they probably need more back volume. I think most people should do way more back volume than most other body parts, because there's just all those planes of motion and all this stuff with the shoulder blades going on and that sort of thing. So I can see that as a reasonable thing to do, is just add volume. But again, I don't know his training intensity or how he's put together. I doubt he's built like you. I doubt he gets a perfect, vicious, violent lat contraction on every single thing he grabs and pulls on, which is a skill that you possess. So, most people would be just add more work to your back. But if he's like different, if he's already training with maxed out intensity and big poundages and stuff like that, then maybe you're looking at shifting focus to more rowing movements and less pull down movements. Again, I'd have to see what his back looked like.
Yeah. And I think too, that's, you're correct, because it's funny. I say thickness and width all the time. Yeah. But also know in my head that a lat fires or it doesn't.
It gets bigger. When it grows in every direction.
Yeah. So it's tricky, because I actually speak the same way while knowing. Yeah. It's not how it works, but it's how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's key to argue, like, at least point those things out, though, because I was having this conversation yesterday about branch chains. Okay. We have a study comes out now, branch chains are useless. And they're just garbage. They're garbage. And I nod, and then I pour some branch chains in my glass, and I use them because I've used them for years and years. I can physically tell a difference when I'm using them. I've seen changes in my body when they're in versus when they're not in. So I don't give a shit what one study says. Now, I use EAAs also, but same thing with back is my point. I understand that the lat is either firing or it's not. But I also understand that if I'm doing a row, a normal row, versus a pendule row pulled right up underneath my chest, I am hitting the back differently.
Yeah, because the shoulder blades are moving
still firing, but exactly. Yeah. Scapulars are moving differently. Rear delts are getting involved. Traps are involved differently. There's a lot of factors that come into play. So you got to be cautious with just saying, well, science says the lat fires or it doesn't. Science says branch chains are shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What you mean. That's why I think back is complicated and requires more volume for most people.
Yeah.
Well, just pay attention to what you feel. Stuff. Yeah.
I think that's another key is, okay, when you're nearing the end of a workout, is there any part of your back from your neck to your ass crack that isn't blown out? Because if there is, then you need to figure out what movement will hit that for you. Yeah. So I can get that out of a barbell row.
Yeah, so a lot of people
barbell row and be done. All right, see ya.
they think rows and pull downs, but I also have another subcategory. When I think of, like, when I'm putting my back to workout together, I would always think, okay, I'm going to do two pulling movements. I'm going to do 2 rowing movements, and then I have a 5th movement. And I'm going to see how my back feels at the end, and I'll decide what movement that's going to be. Where is there not a lot of blood? Right. Whereas can I use more blood? So sometimes that 5th movement, maybe it's kind of a high row on the supported chest because I feel like I need more blood in between my shoulder blades, or maybe it's like a lower lat exercise, or maybe it's just straight up deadlifts, or, so I would kind of think that way. And then when it came to rowing, I would always make sure that I put the emphasis on bent over unsupported rows.
Right.
So I think, okay, I'm going to do 3 rowing exercises today, but only one of them is chest supported.
Right.
So because, I was always aware of, I wasn't the type of deadlifter you are where I religiously deadlifted. So I would rely on a lot of heavy unsupported dumbbell rowing and barbell rowing and T-bar rowing to get a lot of the erector overload up the spine. I would say, well, if you're not going to be a deadlifter, you at least have to be a T-bar rower and a barbell rower.
Right, for sure.
There's still a lot of thickness in those movements when you're doing them with 300, 400 pounds.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but the thing you have to make sure you avoid is people who do all supported rows and pull downs. Mm-hmm. That's where you're just not going to have a back there. That's not where the back is. I
think you just factor in. I mean, it's that simple thing. There's a reason that you lean towards those. They're easier to do.
Yeah.
It just is. It's easier to do. It's a lot easier to do a hammer row seated than a dumbbell row.
Right. Yeah.
It just is. I mean, there's just something about getting that dumbbell from the ground and fucking rowing it that makes it different.
Yeah. So. And even though you got your hand on something, it's not like a supported row because most of your weight is still on your feet.
Yep.
And your hand is really like
it's balance.
Yeah, and I can even wiggle my hand across the rack during my set if it's not in the right spot.
Right.
Like there's definitely not like hundreds of pounds on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all in the arm. So yeah, no, it's key. But yeah, I'm glad we brought that one up. It's solid.
Okay. What's the plan, Dusty?
Well, now that we're done with this, it's I did all my adulting this morning, grocery shopping and everything. So today's cook day. Got to get ready. This whole eating thing again has been a lot.
Yeah. So you haven't touched 300 pounds yet, have you?
No, I was 298 this morning.
Oh, really? So yeah, because I was thinking it's probably coming soon. That's why I asked.
Yeah, no, we're right there. I was 298, and what's funny and openly is I haven't added in any of the things that most people would think, because the first step I had planned on it, but I started eating and I was just like the changes were quick because I haven't eaten very much in so long. So I was like, well, let's get to 3 with nothing, like just the normal supplements and food, and it's went so well that now it's kind of like I'm curious to see how quick 310 will come.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think it'll be the fastest, and then that's when the fight will begin. Because I haven't been even 310 in years.
Oh yeah.
So I think I'll shoot to there, and then it'll be a fight.
That's good.
So we'll see.
I had something I was going to quickly tell everyone about because I didn't mention it, but I tore my hamstring. I didn't bring it up on the show. Remember my hamstring tear that I told you about?
Yes.
So I tore my hamstring Christmas Eve. And so what's the date today? What is it? It's the 11th.
11th.
So it's been like almost 3 weeks. And it's doing really good. It's like the bruise is gone. It's, it's a little tight. Like when I bend over to touch my toes, I can feel that hamstring needs some more flexibility.
Right.
Last leg day I put the pin on the 10-pound plate on the hammer leg curl, and I did a bunch of single leg curls with just 10 pounds in the weight of the arm,
Right. Yeah.
And it like filled up with blood and got really warm. I've been using TB 500 and BPC 157 and no GH though. I don't have any. And I've been using that and it's healing up really well. I've got a Graston tool and I've got the massage gun. So I'm working it with a Graston tool and I'm hitting it with the massage gun and, I'm moving it around a lot. And it's healing really fast. So anyways, I tore it on my bike. I fell off my bike, tore my hamstring. I figured I'd tell this story. It was Christmas Eve. I said, I'm going to ride for 1 hour and then I'm going to come up and we're going to watch a movie and stuff.
Right.
So I rode for 1 hour and there was a trick that I pulled off that I hadn't pulled off. And I was like, fuck. And I looked at my watch and it was 8 p.m. I'm like, it's 8 p.m. It's time to go in. And I was like, I got to do it one more time.
And there it was.
And I fell and I just sort of put my foot forward, like I jumped off the bike and my foot planted but I bent over and touched the ground with both hands.
Right.
Because I was like running forward,
Yep.
And so as soon as my hands hit the ground, I felt pop in the back of my hamstring. And I just went limp. I didn't fight it,
Yeah.
And I just went limp and shoulder rolled. And then I sat up and I was like, oh fuck. Cause I was like, I've heard guys say that they popped a hammy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean popped? If you popped, it would be torn off, you idiot. Like I didn't think that you could feel that feeling and not have it. Like it was weird.
Unravel. Yeah.
The way it felt, I thought something came off. So I was laying on the ground, grabbing the tendons, feeling around, and I was like, oh, everything's attached. And then I was feeling the muscle belly and there's no lump or ball or anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? What was that feeling? Because it felt like someone punched me in the leg.
Yep.
And I was like, oh man, that was like when you get a cramp and it like pulls, like that's what it felt like. And I was like, oh shit, because I swore I felt it like
come away. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is definitely going to bruise. And I actually had a hard time getting up. I had to like roll over and kind of figure out how to stand up without activating it at all because it was super fucking sore.
Right.
And I limped home. Like I had to limp. I came in the door with my bike and like Emily came and took my bike and I was like limping. I was pretty worried for a while. I didn't say anything. I just posted a picture of the bruise on my back of my leg. Well, 5 days later, I woke up and it was like a big purple spot. And I was like, oh, there we go. Okay. So I did tear something.
I've been waiting for you.
I've been waiting for you to show up and prove me that I knew exactly what happened. But now the bruise is gone and it's dry again. So I can actually see all my hamstrings again when I flex them.
Right.
So it seems to be pretty good. I just got to make sure I rehab it enough before I get back on the bike. So right. I'm gonna book in with my buddy Tyler and do a couple of footwork sessions with him this week.
Right.
And I want to make sure I'm moving again because I'll admit when I tore it, my first 2 weeks I just rested it. I wasn't like trying to move around. I was like fucking seated dumbbell curls, seated side laterals. I didn't want to put any hip pop into it,
Yeah, for sure.
And Braden's putting the dumbbells on my lap because I didn't want to pick anything up. So it was good. But yeah, I'm looking forward. My goal was to be back on my bike by the beginning of February.
Right.
And now I'm going to try to beat that, I think. So
yeah, I'm feeling ambitious.
So that's when. Then obviously Brad Rowe just tore his quad the other day. So I've been talking to him and he was sharing all the modalities he's doing. He's got the hyperbaric chamber.
Oh, he went nuts.
He's like a fucking astronaut sleeping in a chamber and all this shit. And he's got the NeuroFit on his quad.
Yep.
And then he's got it wrapped in one of those fucking sleeves that like
ice machine
it. So he's just, and he sleeps that way for like 8 hours.
Yep.
So he said, he goes, this is the perfect, he's such a positive dude.
Yeah.
He goes, this is the perfect advertisement for my medical and wellness center that's opening.
Yeah.
It's going to be
what I'm doing to myself.
rehabbing my quad in record time, never seen before by any athlete ever. Like,
yeah, because he bought the red light thing and the whole bit too.
He's like, I want NFL teams calling me, going, you need to get our guys. We got a fucking linebacker here. We need him in there. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's his goal, right? Is like high level people come in there with torn shit and just healing them as fast as possible.
Right.
So he's such a positive guy. So our best wishes obviously go out to Brad, rehabbing the torn quad.
And none of you guys are doing any of this shit in the gym. He was playing basketball. You're riding him. Remember the first thing I asked you when you told me? I go, bike or gym?
Yeah. I said, oh, bike, for sure, bike.
I was proud of you when you said bike, though. I was like, all right, good.
Hey, you know what? You know what, though, man? If now that I'm sort of part of this whole like flatland world, they say like if you're not falling, you're not riding.
That's the truth. Well, think about it. I mean, that's true. If you wouldn't, then you're not pushing yourself. If you don't fall, you're not pushing.
Yeah, like you're just not riding. You're just doing tricks you already know how to do over and over.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's so true, though. I think the same way. I'm like, if you didn't fall, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
You're not pushing yourself. That's classic.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Dusty. Remember, everybody, like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell. We appreciate the questions. I love the format we both kind of adopted, Dusty, where we do our own questions like sometime in the week, and then we just save a bunch of them for the show. Because it's again, efficiency. It's like, because you get a lot of good ones and you can't cover them all. Yep. And then some of them you're like, well, fuck, I can't do a little blip about this.
Yeah, it's too long. Yeah, I get a lot of that.
And then sometimes we double cover, Because you know,
I
you can
noticed that
expand.
I get a lot of the questions too, or I take the question. I'm like, but now I need to know a little more, Ron.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. I know that you have a couple of guests waiting in the wings, as do I. So we'll have to start booking people now. New year.
That's right.
New lineup, you know?
Same with us.
There we go. Thanks, guys. Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.